Yes, I know what you're gonna say. Why are you talking about Call of Duty 2023? That's literally 2 years from now. I will be literally graduated from college at that point, and I'm still like halfway through college. Like, it's so long from now. This is an eternity from now. But I really want to talk about it because this is by far the most excited I've been for a Call of Duty game. I say that every year. I swear I say that every year. I'm like, oh, this next Call of Duty is the one I'm most excited for. It's going to be the best one ever. And then I say the same thing the next year and the next year. I do this all the time, I know. But this one, for real, has potential to be one of the best Call of Duties of all time if it does these few things. So first of all, let's talk about what the new information is regarding this game. Let me start off by saying I have no idea who this guy is in terms of his credibility, but he has been leaking a lot of things recently, and there are some people who are saying that he is somewhat credible. He has been leaking a lot of things regarding Modern Warfare 2022, and he posts this, just a tweet saying 2023 with the Black Ops 3 image, and of course you might be like, well, what the hell does that mean? Are they remaking Black Ops 3, which would make absolutely zero sense, but he just follows it up with saying that it's going to be a similar setting as seen in Battlefield 2042, setting itself in the near future. Obviously, he's referring to Treyarch's next game and the fact that it's going to be set in the near future, kind of like what Battlefield 2042 is like. Obviously, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that this gets me very excited because, first of all, I love Treyarch's Call of Duty games, and second of all, I love the futuristic setting. I think the futuristic setting is the best setting to have a Call of Duty in because there's so much more you can do with it. I am completely okay and happy with the past era games and the present era games. In reality, I just want diversity. I want new settings every year. That's really all I want. But the future, there's just so much more you can do with it. I mean, look back at Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare. Like, there's so many crazy things they did with those games that you can't really do in any other Call of Duty. And I don't expect them to have exosuits in the main multiplayer, but there's definitely a way for them to implement it into some sort of a side mode or maybe for some campaign missions. There's definitely a way for them to implement those futuristic elements in different ways, and that just excites me. Like, I want this type of a game to exist. My favorite Call of Duties are usually the futuristic ones, Black Ops 2, 3, 4, Infinite Warfare. Those are like my favorite CODs, and a big part of that is the setting. That's just how I've always been. I don't know. I know most people disagree with that. I know most people like the modern setting and the World War II stuff, and I am completely happy with those every now and then as well, but we haven't had a futuristic game since Black Ops 4 was somewhat futuristic, but it was definitely more towards the modern. I mean, it was kind of like, it was near future, really, and then before that it was Infinite Warfare, of course, so I'm very excited to see this. I think it's the perfect time for it. We're going to have a modern game next year, so we might as well get a near future game the year after that. But a lot of people saying they think it's going to be set in the 90s because Cold War's story kind of sets up a story in the 90s, but I don't think that really needs to be the case. I mean, it's setting up story for the 90s, sure, but they can easily rework that into the campaign by having some missions that are set in the 90s, just like Black Ops 2 had some missions that were set in the 80s, but also the main part of the game was set in 2025. They can do the same thing here with the campaign, but have the main multiplayer still within the future, and I think that makes for a very good experience. And you might be like, well, why would they do that after hearing all the negative criticism towards the futuristic era? I think that's very clearly done with now. I don't think people are against the futuristic era nearly as much as they were like 5 years ago, but I think now people are more excited for it, most likely, because we haven't had it in a while. And look back to Black Ops 2. People loved Black Ops 2. It was never people hating on the futuristic era. Rather, it was mainly people hating on the over-the-top futuristic era with the boost jumping as the main core multiplayer mechanic. But I don't think people would have a problem with it being set in the near future, kind of like what Battlefield 2042 is like. And assuming Battlefield 2042 gets a lot of praise, I think that makes them want to do this even more, most likely. So obviously this gets me very excited, but at the end of the day, the only way this game is going to be one of the best Call of Duties ever, because I'm completely fine with it just being a good COD. Like, I don't need every COD to be the best one ever. You know, I liked Cold War. I didn't think Cold War was the best ever, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. I actually had a really good time throughout the life cycle, and I hope Vanguard is the same way as we go through the life cycle. But I would prefer it was one of the best of all time, because that would be awesome if it was that damn good. And the only way I feel like it could be that is if it does these two things. First of all, they need proper development time. Treyarch has been shafted again and again and again, and it's driving me nuts that Activision treats them this way, because they have so much potential for greatness. In my opinion, Treyarch makes the best designed games. I think they do. I think they have the perfect design philosophy. Not everyone agrees with that, and that's okay. But when it comes to their multiplayer especially, I think they have the best design philosophy towards how the gameplay flows and how the gameplay works and how the maps are designed and how the guns are balanced. I love how their games are designed, but they obviously never have their games being properly polished for launch. I mean, launch for Cold War was pretty bare bones. We didn't have that much content compared to other CODs. Black Ops 4 had a lot of bugs and glitches at launch, although I loved the game at launch, but I still think there was a lot of bugs and glitches and issues with it not being properly polished. And although I don't give a rat's ass about graphics and animations, they definitely don't have as good of graphics and animations as some of the other Call of Duties that released nearby them, but that doesn't mean they don't look great, though. They still look great. I think Cold War looks amazing. It just doesn't look as good as like Vanguard or Modern Warfare in terms of the graphical textures, but like I said, I like the look more because it's more cartoony, it's got that colorful look to it, and I do kind of still prefer that. But imagine if we had that colorful, cartoony look while still having a much more polished, textured look to it. It could be even better. They just need the proper time to do that. They need the proper time to give us more content, to give us more maps, to give us more things to do in the game, more guns. And they've been shafted again and again. I mean, you look back to Black Ops 3 and 4, those games had a decent amount of time for them to create the game, but Activision, if you heard any of the behind the scenes information, was continuously scrapping projects that they were working on, making them redo things, and you might say, oh, well, that's because they failed and they didn't do a good job, but in reality, we don't really know how good or bad their projects was. It's just simply Activision didn't want it. They said, no, we want something else, so redo it. That's essentially what they did to the Black Ops 4 campaign even, and it's like, well, what are you doing? Let them do what the hell they want to do and see how it plays out instead of making them restart like a couple months before the game's gonna launch. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And also, what they like to do is they like to force Treyarch to stay post-launch for a game that's doing successful. Like, for example, Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 had by far the most post-launch support out of any Call of Duty. They had tons of stuff being added literally into Infinite Warfare and even World War II's life cycle. So that took away development time on Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4 could have possibly been way more polished if they had more development time on it and didn't stick with Black Ops 3 for so long. Even though I love the Black Ops 3 post-launch stuff, it wasn't necessary. We could have gotten more for Black Ops 4 if they just pushed them to that instead. And then obviously we all know the situation with Cold War. They were literally thrown onto a game and forced to finish it within like a year and a half when, you know, Sledgehammer and Raven couldn't agree on some things with the game. So they've been shafted time and time again, and then they're being shafted again with Cold War because they couldn't finish out the zombie season with as much content as they probably hoped for because they were forced to work on Vanguard zombies, which didn't even end up being all that great because they just didn't have much time to do it. So long story short, Activision treats Treyarch like trash. We can clearly tell that. They need to let Treyarch just do their thing on this game. Don't mess with their design philosophy. Don't force them to make their game like Infinity Wards or like Sledgehammers. Let them do their thing. Let them do what they think would make the best Call of Duty and give them ample time for it. Don't shaft their projects. Don't force them to work on other games. Let them work on COD 2023 and let them make it the best possible experience they can all around for campaign, multiplayer, and zombies. Let them make a game that's going to blow people's minds away, and I think they could easily do that. They just need the time to do it. I am begging you, Activision, let Treyarch work their magic, because personally speaking, even though they've been getting shafted for a lot of the recent CODs, those are still my favorite recent CODs. Like, even the ones that they're being shafted on are still end up being really good. So imagine what they can do when they're actually not shafted and they're given ample time and resources to make something. I mean, it boggles my mind, man. They can do so much with a well-developed Call of Duty experience, and I'm hoping that COD 2023 is just that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, just a little rant about COD 2023. I thought it'd be kind of fun to do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Peace out.